Here's what's going to be happening. The ANC Youth League's long-awaited elective conference gets underway this weekend in Johannesburg. The Congress itself has been postponed several times. Leadership structures of the League were disbanded in 2013 by the ANC. It'll be the first time the League elects a new president since Julius Malema's expulsion, and that was all the way back in 2012. So joining us to discuss the conference, which of course starts tomorrow, is SABC Contributing Editor Vuyo Mvoko. Vuyo, good to see you. Welcome to the studio.
Morning, yeah.
Yeah, usually crossing to in dodgy places. It's nice to have you seated in this environment. All right, so there must be huge expectations with this particular conference.
There are expectations, no doubt, and a lot actually depends on the outcome of this conference, which at the moment doesn't look particularly promising. I mean, there's still fighting going on. I mean, several in Limpopo and Mafikeng, they're taking, and then there's factions that are going to court, disputing processes. Yesterday at 5 o'clock, Gauteng was supposed to start with its, provincial conference because they can't go to conference without having, done their provincial one. And up until now, right now, as we speak, they still haven't started. Yeah. So clearly, there's a lot going on, and a lot that should, make anyone who has an interest in this thing to be, apprehensive and wonder what the hell is going on. But it shouldn't come as a surprise, because you've had an organization that has been disbanded for a good couple of years, and even at a time when they had an opportunity to actually put systems in place, I think they were way too late to get off the mark, and I think they're paying the price right now.
They're paying the price right now. But I mean, obviously there's a lot of, we spoke about the expectations, but at the end of the day, what are we hoping actually comes out of this conference? Or do you, at this point, feel a sense that it's going to be a waste of time?
Well, remember, I mean, this conference, the elective conference, was aborted last year, and then it became a conference just to discuss issues and policies and so on, and they couldn't get to elect their leadership. The status of that conference was changed. So they now have an opportunity to elect the kind of leadership that they want, or that they hope will, revive the ANC Youth League. Because if you look at what is going on in Parliament at the moment, you have young people leading opposition parties, and they're giving the ANC a run for their money. And half the time, the ANC doesn't have responses or doesn't have cogent responses. I mean, you look at some of the MPs, they don't have the kind of energy that is needed to actually give, cogent and good responses to what they are experiencing there. Look at what is happening at universities. The ANC formations are losing. I mean, a day before yesterday, University of the Northwest, they lost that to the EFF. Look at what's happening at Teflop. Look at what's happening at Forte. So the ANC has a lot. The ANC's young people have a lot to worry about. They are simply, going backwards. Now, instead of them focusing on electing the kind of leadership that would get them to deal with the challenges that they are facing as young people, but also as an organization where their organization is under attack, or where their organization is really being given a good run for their money by young people. Instead of focusing on that, they're focusing on this petty leadership squabbles. I bet you whoever comes out of, I think they're going to have serious problems moving forward, even if they may be the best people for the job.
Okay, well, let's look at our candidates. I mean, we look back at our past two leaders, Fikile Mbalula, and then, of course, Julius Malema. And ever since Julius Malema's expulsion, there's been no one really at the helm leading this. So we've got photographs of and pretty much so some pictures of the candidates there. So let's go through them one by one. Lesego Makubele, what do you think of him?
Spoke to him yesterday. Sounds, very together. He's very articulate, and he seems to have a grasp of the kinds of issues that have led to what to the situation that the Youth League finds itself in. But whether he has the requisite support to actually take the Youth League forward, or whether, in fact, at a very practical level, given the factionalism, given the huge interests, of other people, including elders within the ANC, the question is whether he will be able to pull through. In other words, he won't, at the end, articulate as he might be, full of energy as he might be. The question is whether he won't really fall prey to the wider and bigger interests of more elderly people who want things steered in one direction or the other.
Okay, so the next candidate, who a lot of people say is perhaps the favourite, is Ronald Lamola. Do you think so?
Although I think Lesego is now emerging.
Oh, so he's more of a favourite.
As a much better favourite, but I'm not saying that's what pertains on the ground. Because right now the situation is still very fluid. Again, Ronald Lamola, you'll recall, was Julius Malema's deputy.
Yeah.
You know, one of the two surviving members of that executive, together with Bulema. Again, very sober fellow. He's still full of energy, and I mean, he makes sense. You know, but I don't think he has like sufficient support countrywide. I also think that there are people who at first would have made his campaign a lot easier, who have, I think, since for lack of a better word, dumped him. So he sort of finds himself in a bit of a limbo. And I think together with Lesego, they depend a lot on nothing short of a rebellion on the floor at conference, where people say, we know what we want, irrespective of what other people who either have money or have power and influence within the organization want. These are the people we want, and the two guys then stand a good chance. But if people are either going to be cowed for fear, you know, of belonging to the wrong group, or because of the lure of money and opportunities at government, whether it's local, provincial, or national, then you know, they are on shaky ground. Lesego and Lamola are on shaky ground. But if those young people stand their ground and say, we are going to do this, we need a strong leadership, I think they will probably back those two guys.
No, okay. So where does this leave Pulemabe and Colin Maile?
Well, Colin Maile is on a much stronger footing than perhaps everybody else.
Okay.
As someone put it a few days ago, he has solid backing from some elders of the ANC. The names of premiers have been, you know, touted around, even though people are kids. No, yes, no, but you know that it's a reality.
Yeah.
The elders within the ANC have an interest in who becomes the leader of the ANC Youth League, because it is a site of struggle on its own, and they do have an influence. And I mean, half the time these young people get used to become, you know, lobbyists for people who want positions or certain groups to prevail at the end of the day. In 2 years' time, the ANC is going to conference. So everyone has an interest in who becomes the leader of the ANC Youth League, so that they can know that those are the kinds of people that they can lobby to do for, you know, and to put them in good stead and lobby for them. So at the moment, Colin is probably on a much firmer, stronger ground. But of course, as a person, he's unknown quantity.
Yeah.
No one knows what he stands for. He runs away from people, from speaking to people. As I mean, his comrades are quite scathing about him, that is inarticulate and never stands for anything. But he hasn't really come out to actually show people that actually I'm not what you say I am. Pulemabe, I think, my guess is that on the floor, the age issue is going to be dealt with.
Yeah. And 35 years old.
Yes,
that's his age.
I don't see him making it, but he still maintains.
He's still in the running.
His crowd maintains he's in the running.
Let's wrap this conversation up, because I mean, it is, whichever way you look at it, this is going to be a very, very interesting conference going forward. But the ANC Youth League, and we began by speaking about this, I mean, its relevance, its popularity, and particularly, obviously, its appeal to the youth is what's at stake here, because you always see the youth more heading towards student organizations, heading towards the EFF, for instance. It seems like the Youth League has really lost a lot of support. Is this the case? How does it regain this support?
I mean, that's exactly what this leadership has to figure out. I mean, this is a more based movement, yeah? But where you see these young leaders who are leading structures of the ANC is at hotel lobbies,
yeah.
You know, where they are busy trying to strike a deal here, get a tender there, and that sort of thing. At universities is where you capture young people. And if you look at what the EFF and the DA have been doing, the young people of the ANC don't seem to have an answer to that. So, I mean, it's a site of struggle that they are losing by the day. And the tragedy about it is that they are so defensive. And again, the elders aren't able to basically whip these youngsters into line and say, don't forget, this is your mandate or this is where you're supposed to go. Instead, they're just happy to use them, for other ends. And I think the ANC, both the young people and the elders within the ANC are going to pay the price. And by that time, it may just be too little too late.
Well, let's wait and see. But whichever way it turns, a new leader has to be elected this weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
They have to elect a new executive. No more ding-dong. But then, as I said right at the beginning, things are not looking good at the moment when people can't, hold conferences, when there are disputes. I mean, imagine an almost like for 24 hours dispute over who should be accredited or not, which hasn't gone to the actual issues that they should be dealing with. So that doesn't bode well for them.
Vuyo Mvoko, SABC Contributing Editor, thank you very, very much. Covering, of course, the ANC Youth League's elective conference. It's happening this weekend. You've heard the views of the leaders. If you would really, or the potential leaders, please do write to us. We'd love to hear your opinions on this as well. And is the ANC Youth League still relevant? What do you think of the Youth League in these days? For the last 3 years, there hasn't really been any leadership or any good leadership in the ANC Youth League. Has it lost its meaning? I suppose that's a question we need to ask. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this.